Hi, this is Champaign Spotlight, and I'm your host, Jeff Hamilton. With me today is our library director, Brittany Millington. Brittany, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So you can tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I grew up in Indiana, just across the state line in the Wabash Valley area. I went to school at Indiana University when I went there for my master's in library science. And then I went, in 2017, my husband and I, we actually came here to Champaign, and now we have a 3.5-year-old daughter and a 1.5-year-old son.
Well, that's wonderful. So it sounds like you picked a great community, we think, to raise your family. So we're so excited to have you here.
Thank you.
So growing up, did you have an early interest in books or libraries or anything like that?
I absolutely did. I grew up with a family of readers, and so it was not uncommon for us to spend our quality time reading together. And then also, I was very fortunate in that I grew up near my neighborhood library. So many after-school hours and weekend hours were in that wonderful Carnegie building. It was a beautiful library in a very close-knit community. So it was just a fantastic way to grow up and spend time, and really, of course, built my early impression of libraries and my love of libraries.
So just walk down the street or bike down there and enjoy the library?
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
That community library and having those in our community where you can just get to them and pick up a resource or a book.
Yes.
On a rainy day sounds like a great
Absolutely.
tool. And of course, our community is lucky to have that here as well. So, Brittany, you were appointed the library director earlier this summer, and you've been with the Champaign Library for about 5 years. Can you tell us about your career prior to coming to Champaign?
Sure. So I've actually had kind of a fun opportunity of doing a lot of different things in libraries, including being like a children's librarian assistant, studying rare books and manuscripts, and sort of it's run the whole gamut. But most of my work was in the Vigo County Public Library prior to coming to Champaign. And I was a librarian, I like to say, for just kind of like a hot minute before I went into management and administration. And one of the things that I learned really on in my experience with libraries is that I absolutely loved having a hand in everything in the library. So I didn't necessarily want to just be in one department. I wanted to know and be a part of all of the amazing things that were happening in different areas of the library because the work was so just impactful. So I wanted to do whatever I could to support the work of the staff and the things that they were providing for the community and to just really be a part of all of that.
Well, so in 2017, you joined the Champaign Library as the deputy director. It sounds like you probably had that opportunity to do exactly what you just talked about.
Yes.
So how did that role prepare you for ultimately wanting to be the director?
Yeah, so I think, again, just recognizing that I wanted to be a part of all of the different layers of the library and how they worked together. And of course, the deputy director role is a big, big part of that in terms of the coordination and planning and things. But then additionally, having the opportunity to kind of have an impact with vision as well, right? As the deputy and as the director. And so one of the very early things that we were able to do upon coming to town was implementing the Mother Goose on the Loose partnership with the United Way. Yeah, so it's just, an opportunity of recognizing the community needs, looking at community partners and some of the initiatives that they have going, saying, hey, this is kind of a shared vision or mission for us, and what can we do to, work collaboratively together? And it was just fantastic. It was an amazing partnership that's still continuing today.
It's such a fun program.
Yes.
It is. It really is. So last June, you took over as the leader of the library. So how has your role evolved now that you're in the top spot?
Yeah, so there has definitely been some learning, right? Like as a professional, always learning new things and looking at the organization kind of uniquely, having previously been a part of the organization, you sort of have that foundational knowledge of how things work and operate. But then moving into, kind of the top leadership spot, there are some new things to learn, of course, and working with, the board and working with the foundation and things like that. So it's been a really fun learning process so far, and I'm really enjoying it.
Well, I've heard nothing but great things about your work over there, and I know that the staff support is amazing as well, so congratulations on that promotion. So the Champaign Library has long been called one of the hidden gems of our community. Why do you think that is?
Well, it's amazing because not to sound biased, but I think one of the most amazing things about the library is that there really is something for everyone. It's a lot of the resources that people might already be familiar with. That, of course, we have books and things like that. But I really do feel that oftentimes when people are coming into the library, they're recognizing that, oh, I didn't know all of this was here. And so I think that really, upon experience, even if you are familiar with the library, because it's constantly evolving and adapting and changing and adding new things, there really is almost every time that you come in something unique that you might learn about your experience and about what your library has to offer you. So I think that that's one of the things that's really unique for the library as an organization.
So the library's evolving.
Always.
Right? So for those who maybe think of library as just books and they haven't been in the library for a little while, what types of things can they go in and enjoy at the library now?
Well, it's pretty fabulous because it includes lots of new initiatives that have been developed over the last handful of years, including things like, our business and career services and our technology services especially. So for example, if you're an entrepreneur and you want to grow your business, we have the Launch Business Center and some amazing resources that go along with that, including, one-to-one customized service so we can kind of meet you where you are and get you on a path to where you want to be. Similarly, we have that kind of process also with our career services. So it's really amazing, I think, because it covers such a wide range, whether you're just looking to apply for a job or whether you're looking to hire employees. Right. It really runs the whole gamut. And then similarly for our technology services, it's very kind of beginner courses. You might be learning how to utilize a mouse and keyboard, or it might be very advanced and learning new things with Photoshop or other Adobe Suite products or something like that. So it's really kind of unique, the services that are provided. So some of the other things that I think sometimes people don't think about when they think of libraries is just that the library serves as really a place to just be. So, enjoying a story time is something that people are familiar with libraries, but then, after for maybe half an hour, there's an opportunity at both locations to just engage with other families and kind of free play so that you can build connections and new friendships, because oftentimes that's what we hear from community members is the library is a place to build new relationships and new friendships. It's a place to be. Similarly, we see that with the after-school hours at both locations. It's a place for our young adults and our teens to be. And I think that that's something that really is pretty unique about this community is the utilization of its library and how people recognize that there is so much offered there.
I love that, a place to be, because when you walk in the library, it's got so much warm light and it's so welcoming. There's chairs everywhere. Yes. You can go sit down. You can have there's little rooms that you could use for studying or for collaboration, but if you just wanted to grab a book and curl up somewhere, I think you could do that too, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so we talked about you're right next door to the middle school, and so you've got a lot of students that come and visit you a lot, and you've got a new project you guys are working on to maybe help them out a little bit. Can you tell us about the studio?
Yes, so the studio is an expansion project that's going to take place on the lower level of the library. We're expanding about 8,000 square feet. So currently on the lower level of the library, we have sort of our storage and staff spaces, and a lot of those things will remain just as they are because the lower level is a really big space. And so that 8,000 square feet will be a really great opportunity for new initiatives and new different types of programs for young adults especially. It will include kind of a computer area, large-scale printing. It will include gaming with these really awesome monitors. We have a maker area. We know that our young adults really enjoy crafting and sewing and 3D printing and things like that after school. We'll have virtual reality. We'll also have a couple of sound booths for production so that students can learn about podcasting or recording music videos. So we're really excited because the technology in this space is just absolutely fantastic. But we also recognize the need to kind of grow our space and enhance our offerings a little bit because we are seeing between 150 and 200 teens every day after school, which is amazing.
That's
great.
It's
a wonderful thing to have.
Well, it's nice to know that they find such comfort that they know that the library is a nice, safe place that they can go and stay warm during the winter, but also maybe hopefully work on some homework or engage in some other activities, right? Absolutely. So I've been with the city long enough that I remember before the library was built, and there was some planning that they added that extra space in the basement, right? That has been kind of used for storage or something, but that forethought to let's prepare and have a space when we need it, I guess that time is now.
Oh, it's just amazing. I'm so thrilled that the board at the time had the forethought to do something like that, including the lower level. And then another amazing component of it as well is that the architects who were working on the facility at the time with the design created the main floor where we're going to be putting in the communicating staircase to the lower level with the idea in mind that, hey, one day we might want to do this. And so it's really unique that those same architects are able to come back and work on this project.
Really?
Yes, and actually see that forethought and that design through with the culmination of the studio project.
Wow, that's wonderful. That really
Yeah.
is. So, speaking of the library, it's more than just a building, right?
Yeah.
I think that the people on your team are some of the nicest, most friendly people in town. So do you want to go ahead and brag about your staff just a little bit?
Yes, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to do so. I think that, a lot of the warmth and friendliness come from a real belief in the mission and in what we do at the library. So a lot of our staff, they're just the most fantastic people. They love connecting with people. They love having a really positive impact with people. They are invested in this community, and they just appreciate the opportunity to serve the community. So I really do work with the greatest bunch of people who recognize that that what we do has a real meaningful impact on the lives of others, and they find that very rewarding. That gives them the motivation to make sure that their skills and their professional approach to their work stays really sharp. And so it's very inspiring to work with these folks because they're constantly looking at what they can do to continue to make the experience for our community members just the most pleasant and top-notch experience that they can. And we saw that even more directly and evidently with the pandemic and having to shift our service models so regularly and so frequently. But the team was always, just very eager to do what they could to make it as seamless as possible for our customers and to make it as safe as possible. And they're just a tremendous bunch of folks, and it's just a great group to work with.
They're fabulous. They're great ambassadors
Yes.
for our city, and I'm so pleased to be a city employee along with them. So,
That's wonderful.
so thank them for all that they're doing for our community. So since the pandemic, what kind of events has the library engaged in?
Yeah, so we've actually seen a lot of really eager response from the community to attend events. So one of the biggest ones that we held this summer was our summer reading program finale, which brought in more than 1,000 community members. And so we had some, really great fun. We had jugglers and folks on stilts and bubbles
Wow.
everywhere and music. And again, it was just a really great way to see the community engage with the library. We saw a lot of young folks, a lot of families, and people who were just really eager to connect with one another again and celebrate all of the reading that they had done
Sure.
over the summer. It was fabulous.
Sure, so that's just one example. I mean, your calendar is overflowing with events and opportunities to engage and to learn and stuff. Can you tell us a little bit about some of those?
Absolutely. So, if you have the opportunity or anyone has the opportunity to take a look at the library's calendar of events, there are, usually more than 100 events happening each month at the library. Regular events like our story times, our technology classes, we have craft events, we have, of course, our business events, and we have our career events. There are just so many things that are happening for all ages at the library, whether it's, that you want to make something or you want to learn something new, enhance skills, make yourself a better job candidate. It's just the full gamut is available at your library.
That's great. And we've been talking about the library as if it's like a singular thing, but there's more than one library in town. You want to tell us about that?
That's right. So we often talk about the Champaign Public Library, right, as a system, right? And in our system, we have 2 branches. We have 2 locations. And so we have the downtown main location and our Douglas branch location. And Douglas branch is just a fantastic neighborhood library, very similar to the main library and a lot of the offerings and a lot of the services that they provide to the community. And it's also just a very close-knit. I spoke earlier about my neighborhood library as a child, and you see a lot of that, going into Douglas in the after-school hours, you see a lot of those kids building relationships with their librarian. They know the librarians by name, they know the staff by names. Oftentimes, we know the families. It's generational, and it's just a fantastic community library. And they're doing some really unique things over at Douglas. Most recently, we have a partnership that includes Community Coalition, and we're doing jam sessions as a really great way to just, one, it showcases that the library may not necessarily be what you have thought with just books and things like that on the shelves, but it's also a place to showcase your talent, your musical talent, your talent with instruments and things like that, and to be able to do that with others and build a connection. Because as we saw a lot, especially after the pandemic, people are really eager to build connections with each other.
Yeah, so that's a great example that it's not your old library,
Right.
right? You guys have evolved, things are going on. We know that the future is bright. You guys are going to continue to provide the services that our residents need. So for anybody who wants to learn more about the library, how can they go about doing that?
Yeah, our website is absolutely champaign.org, a great place to check out more information. Also on Facebook, that's a really great spot to go for updates.
Okay, well, great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being with us today and sharing that information with our viewers. And thank you so much for everything you do for our community.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
All right.